Okay guys, listen, we don't know for sure what NetherRealm's next game is. There are a lot of rumors, there's a lot of speculation that maybe it's gonna be Injustice 3. I personally really hope that it's Injustice 3. A long while back, I had given you guys a wish list of some characters that I wanted to see pop up in this game, but I figured now is a good time. Let's sit down and let's go over my full roster wish list for Injustice 3. I've got 25 characters that I wanted to go over, and as well some DLC characters that I would love to see pop up in this game. Hit that thumbs up button if you're excited for a possible Injustice 3 down the road, and hope and pray with me that we go back to the glory days of when I was covering Injustice 2 on this channel. Subscribe, turn on those notifications. Whatever NetherRealm's next game is, I'm going to be talking about it right here on this channel, and let's jump into this. Before we jump into the list, I'll mention, okay, there are some characters on this list that I'm not fully familiar with what happened to them in the Injustice universe, within the canon and the lore of this universe. I'm kind of throwing that aside. We don't know what the story of Injustice 3 is going to be. We don't know if it's even going to be continuing what happened after the events of Injustice 2, or if they're going to do some multiverse stuff. Who knows? I am just choosing characters I think would be cool in the game. I am not choosing the characters specifically for story implications. Some of them I think could be interesting in terms of their story within this universe, but a lot of them I'm just like, that character would be cool. And to start things off, I've got the original 7 Justice League members, and I do want Martian Manhunter back in this game. So yes, you're obviously gonna have your Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, and the Flash, but I really do hope they bring back Martian Manhunter. I thought he was such a cool character in Injustice Gods Among Us. I would love to see him have a more prominent role in the story of the next game. Following that, I've got a Flash villain, one that we did get to play as in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Maybe they could do him a bit more justice in this game. You see what I did there? I got Captain Boomerang. The gear system could be really fun. Customization could be really cool for this character, but the moveset also could be awesome. There's a lot you could do with this character, so I hope they include him. Then following that, I've got a Green Lantern villain, that being Star Sapphire, Carol Ferris. I honestly love what they've done with Green Lantern in the Injustice games. I even thought that Sinestro was pretty cool. Anytime that they get to mess around with the constructs of different Lantern type characters, it's always super fun, and the customization there's so much you can do. So let's add Star Sapphire to that list. Let's get Carol Ferris in the mix of Injustice 3. Then next up, we just got to see this character kick so much ass in the new Superman movie, Mr. Terrific. He is goddamn Mr. Terrific, everybody. I really love what they did with the character in the movies. So many people now know about this character. He's been thrust into the mainstream, which is awesome. And I mean, the T-spheres, the technology, there's so much you could do with his moveset in the game, and the customization is right there available to you in terms of different costumes and different looks for gear. You really have a lot of options for Mr. Terrific, and it just makes sense for Injustice 3 to include him, especially just from the perspective of like brand synergy. Following that, this is a character that actually was pretty highly requested for Injustice 2, but didn't end up making the cut, so now I'm hoping he shows up in Injustice 3, that being Booster Gold. You want to talk about customization and gear and all that, I feel like that works really well with this character. I think also, you know, the tech and the different things that he does with his suit, all that stuff can really play into his moveset within Injustice 3. Moving on from that, another really highly requested character who was a throwable interactable in Injustice 2, but not an actual playable character, and hopefully will be now, Plastic Man. And although I haven't read like every single Injustice comic book, I do know that Plastic Man has a pretty great presence in those comics and has some great moments that a lot of people have used as memes. Maybe we get to see those moments actually play out in the game in some way. And just, you know, there's so much you could do with this guy's powers. He'd be really, really fun. Following that, again, a highly requested character, and one that showed up in the Injustice mobile game. They teased us, but they didn't put him in the console version. Now is the time to do so. Static, or Static Shock, whatever you want to call him. I think Static Shock sounds cooler. I know that's just the name of the cartoon. It's not his actual name, but I think Static Shock sounds better. And yeah, he was in the Injustice mobile game. You could look it up. Static Shock is a playable character in an Injustice mobile game, but not in any of the console ones. What the hell is up with that, NetherRealm? Time to rectify that. Put this guy in Injustice 3. And okay, just about halfway here through this list, this is the most probably highly requested character to show up in this game after all of the characters that were really highly requested from Injustice 1 and 2. I know my boy Uncaged Games will put this guy at #1 on his list, and I won't blame him. Beast Boy. I feel like for the longest time, the reason this character didn't show up in like Injustice Gods Among Us or Injustice 2 is because animations-wise, it'd be a bit of a nightmare to figure out how you can make this work. How you can have this guy turning into all these different animals on the fly. I do feel like if you're gonna have that ability play into his moveset, it's gotta be tied to the trait system. And I honestly feel like NetherRealm's kind of cracked the code about how to get these human-looking characters transforming into these animals and these beasts based on what they did with Reptile in Mortal Kombat 1. Maybe following that same formula and applying it to a character like Beast Boy can make it so that it isn't so crazy animations-wise to make the character work. Then next up, I got a Superman villain here on this list, Metallo. I think what was so cool about Injustice 2 was having Brainiac be the main villain. You need these Superman villains that are gonna humble the guy, because I know that Superman is like the ultimate threat of the Injustice universe, but it was really cool to see that there was a bigger villain out there that brought the Justice League together and made them set aside their differences, even if just for a little while. Metallo being able to expose some of Superman's weaknesses could be super interesting, and there's a lot that you can do with gear, with customization, and just in general with his moveset. Moving on from that, I have a Batman villain here. I tried not to include too many, okay, but we gotta throw in a couple because he has a really good rogues gallery. So I've got Ra's al Ghul. Just imagine with the trait system being able to throw in some other members of the League of Assassins in there to attack your enemies. His martial arts abilities as well work so well for a fighting game. This is a really strong Batman villain, both literally and figuratively speaking. Following that though, I've got a Justice League villain, one that I feel maybe even could be the main villain of this next game, depending on how they want to play things out. That being Vandal Savage. I mean, this dude is immortal. He's got that superhuman strength and speed. There is so much you could do there. Lots of potential for this character to be included on the roster. Next up, though, this is the guy who is the catalyst for the entire existence of the Injustice universe. They found a way to make it work for him to come back in Injustice 2. I feel like they'll find a way to do it again if they want him in Injustice 3. And I do kind of want this character to show up again. The Joker. I never really loved the way Joker played in Injustice 1 or 2, but I really loved how he played in Mortal Kombat 11. So if we can maybe borrow some of that moveset and apply it into whatever they're gonna do with another Injustice game if NetherRealm makes one, that could be awesome. And you can't really have the Joker without one Harleen Quinzel. So of course, Harley Quinn is also on my list. Pretty self-explanatory. She's been in the last 2 games. Would love to see her return for this one as well. Next up though, I've got a new god on my list who I think could be the one to humble the Wonder Woman of the Injustice universe, Big Barda. This is such a sick character from the comic books. She has such an amazing design as well. So you already have so much you can have fun with from the gear system and customization standpoint. And she's a brute. She's a beast. She kicks so much ass. There is limitless potential for a moveset for a fighting game with this character. Up next, another highly requested character, one that I actually really did want to see in Injustice 2, but we didn't end up seeing this guy, John Constantine. Big shout outs to Matt Ryan for how much the guy really genuinely loves this character. He's been playing him in like all the CW shows, in his own show for Constantine, and then even went on to voice the character in some animated movies. So if it were up to me, if I'm at NetherRealm Studios and we're putting John Constantine in Injustice 3, we're getting Matt Ryan to do the voice for the character. And like the magic, you know, all that stuff, there's so much you can play around with. And speaking of magic, that actually pertains to my next character on the list, Zatanna. She was a DLC character in Injustice Gods Among Us. It's time to bring her back in Injustice 3. We're winding down the list here. Coming towards the bottom, I've got Etrigan the Demon. This guy is so sick from the comic books, a Jack Kirby creation. The design here is awesome. So again, gear system customization could be on point. And with the Hellfire and all of his demonic abilities, there is just so much you could do. And then finally, to round out my main roster list, I have got who I want to be the main villain of Injustice 3, the Anti-Monitor. For a lot of people, outside of maybe like Darkseid, obviously, this is kind of like the ultimate Justice League villain. And if Injustice 3 is maybe supposed to be like the final one, or if they want to go out with a bang or just have a massive third game to round out a really good trilogy, then the Anti-Monitor really is as big as you could go. But now I also want to get into some DLC characters that I would love to see show up in this game. First up, yes, I would like for them to dip into some of the Watchmen characters. We have seen them now officially cross over with our mainline DC characters in the comic books. So I want Dr. Manhattan, I want Rorschach. To be honest, I don't even know what you could do gear system wise with a character like Dr. Manhattan, like different underwear. I have no idea. All I know is that it would be really cool to see the character in a fighting game, to see him go toe to toe with Superman in this game. Rorschach, I think you have a bit of an easier time with customization and with different ways the character can look, and the moveset, I think just, it's easy to really tap into that character. To get into some other main DC characters, Green Arrow, gotta bring him back. He's gotta be included in this game. I didn't put him on my main roster because sometimes NetherRealm just does this, all right? They'll take a character that people really love, they don't put him on the main roster because they're saving it for DLC, so you could spend a little extra money. Following that, this is a character that met such a sad fate in Injustice Gods Among Us. It's the reason why I couldn't really find a way for the character to work on the main roster, because I'm not sure what they would do with him story-wise. But as a DLC character, you don't really got to worry about all that. Shazam. I miss seeing this character in Injustice games. It's sad he wasn't in Injustice 2, obviously, for the reasons of what happened in the story of Injustice Gods Among Us. So it'd be cool to see him come back as a DLC character for Injustice 3. And then finally, in terms of DLC characters, I just want this guy back so that they can not make him a premier zoner like they did in Injustice Gods Among Us. Deathstroke, obviously such a sick character from DC Comics. You gotta throw him into this game. And please, please, don't just make him sit back full screen with the sniper shooting me 24/7. And then now to round out my entire list, I do have a guest character, or characters in this case. I kind of want this to work similar to like what they did with the TMNT in Injustice 2. The last DLC characters I'd like to see are the Power Rangers. How sick would it be if they just followed the same formula that they did with the Ninja Turtles in Injustice 2? The gear system is what lets you switch to a different Ranger. Their movesets have the same things across the board, with a couple of different things depending on which Ranger you are selected on. If that was too complicated and we could only really have it one way, if we could only have just one Ranger, it's obviously got to be Tommy. It's got to be the Green Ranger. And that rounds out my list for all the Injustice 3 characters that I would love to see in the next NetherRealm game, if it is Injustice 3. But now I kick it to you guys. Sound off with your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what characters you want to see in the game. I've been Caboose. I'll see you guys later.